so you were told to come down and keep an eye on us?
No, just we were made aware of the protest and we just come down.
Alright, so you know all about the incinerator?
Yes.
Yeah, do you live in the area?
No.
Oh, you're quite lucky. But don't worry, they're trying to build them everywhere, so...
yeah, we've got one in my local town.
Okay.
Are you aware of I think there's a condition on that only 4 people are allowed in?
No, I didn't know. I wasn't aware of any conditions at all. There's nothing advertised about any restrictions on this meeting. I received an invite that said all are welcome.
Oh, okay.
It's a public meeting and all are welcome. So
I find that only 4 are allowed in. I might be wrong on that.
Right.
But no banners or posters or anything.
Yeah, no, I understand. I can't take any demo paraphernalia in, but we do want to be able to have our democratic right to get our point across, and it seems a shame that this was advertised and I was emailed that this would be a public meeting, and now they're saying we can only have 4.
Well,
that's a bit...
You might want to check.
Yeah, I will check that, yeah. But don't worry, it's not going to be in trouble. Just stand around, get a few placards out and stuff, so it's all right. It's all very peaceful.
Right, well, we'll leave it to it.
Alright, cheers, man. Thank you.
Are you planning on gluing banknotes to your mouth this time?
Oh, I don't glue them. No, it's only a bit of sticky tape. No, I can't waste. I'm not that rich to waste my money. Plus, this gorgeous face. I don't want to. Hang on, this gorgeous face. I don't want to ruin my good looks by doing that. So I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Well, our problem was last time they wouldn't let us talk at the meeting. So this time they said we're allowed to, but we'll find out. So,
what your plan? You're all going into?
Well, I'll find out if we're allowed to all go in or not. I'll go and check that out in a moment. So, yeah.
I'll have a chat.
All right, cool. All right, thank you.
We will be around.
All right, good. If I need you, yeah. All right, thank you.
Judy Saunders, the chair of the meeting, also came outside. She told us we couldn't ask questions about the incinerator because it was in the section of the meeting where the public are excluded. Thankfully, she changed her mind.
And it will cost us something like 60 to 80 million in compensation, and that's why we can't pull out. But it'd be great if you guys, when you're doing your public questions lines, which of course we got sorted for you, to ask those questions. Right?
You got sorted for us.
Well,
we came along.
We came
along and made a demo and made the show about it.
Yes, I know.
You're on a council now, so it's up to you as our elected
Yes.
representative to do a bit more, Stuart.
Yeah, and I will do tonight.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, so far it's been, and I don't take this the wrong way, mate. It's been very ineffectual. You've been towing the party line like the Tories did. You've been saying the same sort of things like, it's in Sutton, it's all out of our hands. The contract was signed before.
Have never said that. I've said right from the start.
Yeah.
I've said that the contract was signed by the Conservatives, talking about 60 to 70 million pounds compensation.
And we could make that money back in a blink of an eye if we changed the whole contract around and started selling our recycling.
Do you know how much the street cleaners, 124 street cleaners, all the street cleaning is only £5 million. We can't do that.
Yeah,
as a council, we've already got £100 million of cuts.
Yeah, but
the important thing is, anyway, the legal side is, ask that question in a minute. I will be backing you up.
Okay.
And obviously, one of the reasons that it's important to have a question time in here, which is obviously the previous administration didn't do, is so that people have got the right to protest, they've got the right to speak.
Okay.
So you shouldn't be silenced, which is why I'm supporting your speaking. So that's why I come out.
All right, thank you, Stuart.
I'll give you a bit of support in the meeting.
All right, cheers, mate.
You know my view anyway. I don't want an incinerator, and I've never believed in it.
Okay,
so,
all right.
Ask Sasha. I'm contributing more to the fund because I want you to win.
Okay.
But I think this is really good news because I think Viridor are getting cold feet.
Yeah.
So that's good. So I'll see you later.
All right, cheers then. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. There were a number of people that wanted to ask questions, so there isn't just me. And I understand at least one other person has contacted the partnership to ask if they could speak tonight as well.
Okay, do we have anybody else that's asked to speak this evening? Okay, just bear in mind. Right, okay, I don't want to just sit here and shut people up because it wouldn't be fair. You've all come along this evening. The only thing I will say to you, I'm happy to take another speaker, but we still only have 10 minutes on this item. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, according to documents on Kingston Council's website, Viridor themselves considered the planning consent to be unsatisfactory for the South London incinerator. Since Viridor do not back their own plan.
Just stop you for a moment, because anything that you're reading that's from private documents that's confidential information?
It's not. It's public. It's in public domain. It's in the news today. It was on the Kingston website. Viridor say that.
Can I just stop you for a moment? I'm
Okay.
sorry, but that information is not supposed to be public, okay? That's an issue that we will need to discuss in private session, but we will not be discussing those issues this evening. Now, I appreciate you might want to allude to them because you've seen that information, but it's not something, and I'm sure you're going to keep raising it, but I just want you to know that it's not something that we will be discussing in public this evening. So you will not get responses, I think, to some of
Okay.
these.
All right. Well, I'll ask a different question then. According to Public Health England's particulate matters that come out of the incinerator do kill, and that there is no evidence, and I'm quoting here, there is no evidence for a threshold below which effects would not be expected. In other words, one breath is enough to cause harm. As such, shouldn't the committee be doing everything in their power to stop the South London incinerator?
Okay, thank you for your question. I don't know if officers can respond to this because our expert on this is not actually here this evening. But can I ask, is that your one question that you want to ask?
I have many more questions, but it seems that we're being a little bit constricted on what we can say. I mean, I could go on all night. 1 in 12 people die from air pollution in London every year. Perhaps you can answer this question then. This is perhaps something you might be able to answer. The South London Waste Partnership claim that the waste hierarchy is key. East Lancashire, however, the contract with Viridor bypasses the need for sorting and recycling of waste before it is burned. East Lancashire councils made nearly £500,000 in 2013 by selling their recycling. Instead of doing what is best for Viridor, why don't you rethink the plan and come up with one that is economically, environmentally more favourable for all?
I can't answer your question, but what I'm going to say to you is that these are a lot of points that have been raised in the process running up to decisions that have been made on that. So to raise all these questions now at this late time, at this stage in the process,
It is still very relevant. The fact is that you have opted for a plan that is environmentally and economically unsustainable and unsound. Viridor themselves feel that the plan is unsatisfactory. No one wants this incinerator. Why are you pushing forward with it when there are better options? You could be making money from selling the recycling. Instead, you've just allowed Viridor to throw it all in and burn it and make a ton of cash from it, regardless of the impact on our health.
Yes.
Why doesn't someone just stand up, have a backbone, and do what is best for the people? You're doing what is best for private enterprise. People will die if you don't do something about this.
thank you. Come on.
I wish to say, obviously, I don't have specific information relating to East Lancs, but I can say that the South London Waste Partnership boroughs have an excellent track record with respect to recycling. They are some of the best performing boroughs in terms of recycling in London.
Start again, please.
I am saying that the South London Waste Partnership boroughs have some of the best track records in terms of recycling across the whole of London. It is definitely performing in the highest levels and will continue to perform in the highest levels, and will seek to increase more and more the amount of recycling that is captured through our collection systems to ensure that we are getting the benefit of those resources.
With all due respect, recycling rates have actually stalled in England. All studies have shown that waste incineration actually leads to a reduction in recycling. Frank Smith, the director of the partnership, he actually criticised the very model. The politics of how you collect with consistent quality across numerous councils is very difficult. This is proven by the fact that Merton, and I know this for a fact, Merton collects waste that has already been pre-sorted at source and co-mingles it. Perhaps the partnership can answer the question, how many other boroughs in the partnerships allow other waste companies to take waste that's already been pre-sorted and to co-mingle it? Because obviously that goes against the whole waste hierarchy. Can you answer that question?
So as an officer of Merton Council, I can confirm that all our recycling is collected co-mingled. It is collected co-mingled at source through our collection vehicles and is then taken to a facility for separation. It is not collected separately, then mixed, and then separated again.
Well, I know for a fact that companies that separate their waste into constituent parts for recycling, and obviously that makes sense, then it just all goes in the back of one lorry. What's the point in doing that? You then have to try and re-sort it again at a later stage, and that waste is already commingled and very difficult to separate, which makes it a lot easier to just throw it in the incinerator and burn it all.
Sorry, as I said, Merton, and I'm sure I can speak for all the other boroughs, where commingled recycling is collected, it is all collected commingled and is then sorted later. There is no separation of materials at the curbside except in Kingston, and that isn't commingled later. That is sent on direct to markets.
Right, rather than get into a dialogue of backwards and forwards, do you have any other questions?
I have many more, but perhaps you'd like to hear from somebody else.
Yeah, I won't take up too many questions this time, but I think as a committee it would be useful for us to perhaps have an agenda item for discussion about looking at some of the problems in incineration around the country, and look particularly with air quality. I think it is something we need to think about, because we ought to have a plan B, in case the court case is won against Viridor, but we also ought to have a plan B anyway, in case, as the news was suggesting today, that there is a possibility that Viridor may get cold feet about this. And I think it's important for us to have that dialogue, and we can involve the public in that sort of questioning when we go to it. As you know, we're on record in Croydon and saying we're against incineration, but unfortunately the previous administration signed us up to the contract. But I still think we've got a duty to make sure there is a dialogue about it. And also, I think there should be an issue about us looking at air quality as well, and what safeguards we can put in place should the incinerator go ahead, because I think the measurement of air quality is something important. So that's just for us to flag that up as a committee, that at a future date we ought to have some form of discussion in open camera, so that we can involve the public for a question time as well, but also so that we actually do think, you know, in terms of what happens with the court case, and also what happens with Viridor and what they want to do, that we should have a plan in place, a plan B.
Thank you for that. Councillor Judge, we should speak. After Councillor Judge, I know there was one other person that wanted to ask a question, and we're moving close to our 10 minutes, and I'd like that other person to come forward. So, Councillor Judge.
Certainly during the process of letting the contracts, we did look in very great detail at all the health and environmental issues, and certainly the work that was done, and it confirmed that the technology that will be employed is not such as will cause harmful emissions on any measurable scale. And clearly there has been a campaign, a very clear rhetoric and political positioning against the energy for waste plan, but certainly we were satisfied when we went through that contractual process that it would be environmentally just about the best way we could dispose not of recycled material but of residual waste.
But the waste is going in it's not being sorted before it goes in.
Can I ask you, sorry, not to interrupt, because we are time limited and your colleague won't be able to.
Well, and the contract allows us all to maximise recycling, and that is what we're seeking to do. So in Merton, we maximise recycling at the curbside, both kitchen waste and a whole range of other recyclates, because first of all, it's good environmentally to maximise recycling. There's also value in recycling.
But you could be selling it, but you're not. You're just giving it to Viridor.
It's still the residual waste that we're anticipating going in the nature of the waste plan that would otherwise be put into landfill. So, to follow Councillor Collins' issues of air quality and public health under review, and continue to investigate them on an ongoing basis during the life of this partnership.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Can I very quickly respond to that? Well, I'm sure you're aware that no heat is going to be produced from this supposed combined heat and energy plants. Viridor admitted that and used that as an argument in the judicial review that no heat will be utilised. So you've been sold a duff red herring, I'm afraid. There's absolutely no heat will be produced or used.
So, thank you for your comments. I'm afraid our 10 minutes for that item is up, but as Councillor Collins has suggested, that we have a So I do apologise that you're obviously
Sorry, Darren. With respect, Madam Chair, that is a little unfair, having been assured. I understand. He shouldn't have asked those so many questions.
I'm being very fair because
No, it's not genuine. It's not genuine involvement.
So I think I'm being very fair this evening.
Don't penalise other people for me being a gobby person.
You know, it's one of the local councils, I think it's pretty poor.